60 men crowded around one unarmed politician and stabbed him 23 times. They believed they were saving Rome. Within 3 years, almost every one of them was dead, and a strange number of them died on the very same daggers they had pushed into Julius Caesar's body. This is not really the story of a murder. It is the story of what happened afterward, when the men who killed a tyrant slowly realized that the republic they thought they were rescuing had already died with him. Start with the day itself, March the 15th, 44 BC. Caesar walks into a meeting of the Senate. He has no bodyguard. He has just dismissed the men who protected him because he wanted Rome to see he had nothing to fear from his own people. He has been warned too. A soothsayer once told him to beware the Ides of March. That morning his wife woke from a nightmare and begged him not to go. And as he reached the door, a stranger pushed a note into his hand, a note that named the entire plot, line by line. Caesar took it, held it, and never read it. He walked in anyway. A senator named Julius Caesar steps forward with a petition, grabs Caesar's toga, and pulls it down from his shoulders. That is the signal. A man behind him, Publius Servilius Casca, drives a blade into Caesar's neck. It is a clumsy strike, more panic than skill, and Caesar spins and stabs Casca in the arm with his writing pen. For one heartbeat, the most powerful man in the world fights back. Then the others close in. They are not street criminals. They are senators, generals, old friends. Some of them owed Caesar their careers, their fortunes, even their lives. Decimus Brutus had been named in Caesar's own will as a secondary heir. And yet more than 60 of them had agreed to this. When it is over, Caesar lies dead at the foot of a statue of Pompey, the very rival he had defeated years before. The killers lift their bloody hands and shout that Rome is free again. They expect the crowd to cheer. The crowd does not cheer. And this is the first thing the conspirators got catastrophically wrong. They had a plan to kill Caesar. They had no plan for the morning after. They thought the Republic would simply switch back on, like a machine that had been paused. Instead, the city goes silent, then frightened, then angry. Mark Antony, Caesar's deputy, is still alive. The conspirators had argued about killing him too and decided against it. That decision would cost most of them their lives. At Caesar's funeral, Antony reads out the dead man's will. Caesar has left money to every ordinary citizen of Rome and his private gardens to the public. The same man the senators called a tyrant had, on paper, been generous to the poor. Antony holds up Caesar's blood-soaked toga and counts the wounds aloud. Some ancient writers say a wax model of the body was raised above the crowd and slowly turned, so that every one of the 23 wounds could be seen. The crowd turns into a mob. They burn the Senate House. They hunt for the killers in the streets. In a single afternoon, the conspirators go from liberators to fugitives, and they never truly stop running. The first to die is Gaius Trebonius. On the day of the murder, his job had been to keep Antony talking outside the chamber so he could not defend Caesar. Barely a year later, in the province of Asia, Trebonius is captured by one of Antony's allies. He is tortured for information, then beheaded, and his head is thrown into the street like rubbish. He is the first of the assassins to fall, and his death sets the pattern. These men will not die peacefully in bed. Next comes Decimus Brutus, the trusted friend named in the will. His soldiers, once loyal, begin to desert him when they realize which way the wind is blowing. He tries to flee across the Alps to join the other conspirators. On the road, he is captured by a local Gallic chief who hands him straight to Antony's men. Decimus, the man Caesar had treated almost like a son, is executed on the orders of the deputy he helped to spare. Meanwhile, something worse is forming in Rome. Caesar's teenage great-nephew, a sickly 19-year-old named Octavian, has arrived to claim his inheritance. Everyone underestimates him. That is their second fatal mistake. Octavian, Antony, and a third general named Lepidus stop fighting each other and join forces. They draw up a list, a prescription of every enemy they want dead, and they post it in the forum for all to see. To be on that list is a death sentence with a cash reward attached. The lists are enormous. Ancient sources claim around 300 senators and 2,000 of Rome's wealthy knights were marked for death, their seized property paying for the war to come. Slaves are offered money to betray their masters. The great orator Cicero, who had cheered the assassination, is caught and killed, and his hands and head are nailed up in the forum where he once gave speeches. Not every conspirator even lasts that long. Pontius Aquila, one of the men who stabbed Caesar, is already gone, killed in battle the year before near the town of Mutina, fighting the very people who would soon hunt his fellow assassins. The two ringleaders, Marcus Brutus and Gaius Cassius, have fled east and raised an army. This is the confrontation everything has been building toward. And there is a strange story attached to it. The writer Plutarch says that one night, months earlier, a monstrous figure appeared in Brutus's tent. When Brutus asked what it wanted, it answered, "I am your evil spirit, Brutus. You will see me again at Philippi." He would. In 42 BC, the two sides meet near the town of Philippi in northern Greece. In the first battle, Cassius, cut off from Brutus and convinced the day is lost, does not wait to be captured. He orders one of his own freedmen to kill him. And he dies by the same dagger he had used on Caesar, on what may have been his own birthday. The signal he thought meant defeat was, in fact, a mistake. Part of his side had actually won. Brutus fights on for a few more weeks. But his army is starving, his allies are slipping away, and he knows how prescriptions end. After the second battle at Philippi, he walks into the woods with a handful of loyal friends, asks one of them to hold his sword steady, and runs onto the blade. The two men who led the plot to save the Republic are both dead within 2 years of the murder, both by their own hands, both far from the city they claimed to be fighting for. And the smaller names? History loses most of them, but the ending is nearly always the same. Servilius Casca, who struck the first blow, is believed to have died at Philippi. Tullius Cimber, who gave the signal by grabbing the toga, commanded a fleet for the conspirators and vanishes from the record around the same battle. On by one, in exile, in shipwreck, on the battlefield, or on their own swords, the men of the Ides of March are erased. The Roman writer Suetonius, looking back a century later, put it plainly. Not one of the killers outlived Caesar by more than 3 years, and not one of them died a natural death. Several, he wrote, ended their own lives with the very same blade they had once turned on Caesar. So step back and ask the real question. Did the assassination work? They killed the man, yes, but the thing they hated was never really Caesar himself. It was one-man rule, and by murdering him in the name of the Republic, they triggered exactly the outcome they feared. The wars that followed his death did not restore the Senate's power. They handed it, piece by piece, to the winner. That teenage great-nephew nobody took seriously would spend the next years destroying every rival, including, eventually, Antony, until he stood alone. His name was Octavian, but Rome would come to know him by a new title. Augustus, the first emperor. Here is the final brutal irony. The conspirators killed Caesar to make sure Rome would never again bow to a single ruler. Instead, Rome would be ruled by emperors for the next 500 years. And the word those emperors chose as their highest title, the name that would echo through empires for 2,000 years, Kaiser in Germany, Tsar in Russia, was not the name of the men who saved the Republic. It was Caesar. They stabbed him 23 times to erase him. They only made his name immortal.